Mute is a science fiction Netflix original and the newest film from director Duncan Jones, whose previous films include Moon, Source Code, and Warcraft. It has some good qualities, but overall is unfortunately disappointing and a missed opportunity. The futuristic world looks cool, but is pretty cliche and definitely isn't anything we haven't seen before multiple times. The influence of Blade Runner is clear with the flying cars and use of neon, but it's trying too hard to feel like the 1982 classic. Another example of the uninspired nature of Mute is early on in the film there's scenes set in a club and the music there is just some generic dubstep, which is apparently still popular 40 years from now. I know it's hard to come up with futuristic sounding music, but I wish they had at least tried or went with something a little less obvious. The aesthetics of Mute really make it feel more like a TV show than a cinematic experience. This isn't that surprising as it is straight to Netflix, but I guess I was expecting something a bit more given the pedigree of the director and the cast. There was some creative use of color, but generally the cinematography was bland. Mute has quite a few talented actors, and they all do what they can with the material, but there isn't that much for them to work with. The highlight is probably Paul Rudd, who has an epic mustache and a few humorous lines. He does have good chemistry with Justin Theroux, but they almost feel like they are in a different movie from the main plotline. Alexander Skarsgård is decent as well, especially considering he doesn't talk, but his character isn't compelling enough to carry a film in the lead role. The score comes from Clint Mansell, who worked with Duncan Jones previously on 2009's Moon. He's more well known for his work with director Darren Aronofsky, especially the iconic music from Requiem for a Dream. However, his score here pales in comparison to a lot of his earlier ones due to being a little cheesy and overwrought at times. These issues weren't that prevalent throughout, so this isn't a huge problem, but it's still a mediocre score at best. My main issue with Mute is the plot. It's not terrible, but not particularly interesting either, and I never felt a strong desire to find out what happens next. In addition, the ending is somewhat anticlimactic. Despite its flaws, I'd still say Mute is worth checking out, since it's on Netflix and you don't have to leave the house, but if this was a theatrical release, I wouldn't recommend spending money on it. Mute is getting torn apart from the critics and it currently has an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I personally didn't find it to be that awful. That's all for this review. Please don't forget to subscribe and thanks for watching.